All right, let's start.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy that you all were able to come to interview Mr. Beady Waddell. My remembrance of Mr. Waddell was you taught music or singing time at Bible school at St. John Presbyterian Church. That's what I remember. I remember that, and you sang this song, "Let's Go A-Hunting," says,
Oh my goodness.
Rickety Bob or Rickety Bob or something, Billy Bob. It was some funny song that you taught us. But after that, I know Mr. Waddell ended up being a teacher at the school that I went to. He told you a minute ago, Vineland Elementary School. Mm-hmm. And he carpooled with my mom and another teacher, and all of us, my mother's kids, were in the car. And after that, I think he taught me, I want to say North Carolina history or either social studies. It was one of those. I've known Mr. Beady Waddell probably over 40 years, maybe 50, over 50 years. I'm 66, so I would say, Mr. Waddell, I've probably known you for close to 60 years. Isn't that something? And the last thing I'm going to say, I hated it when Mr. Waddell, how many years were you at Vineland?
2.5.
2.5. When I heard that he was leaving us and he was taking a job in Sanford in social work, and he's told you that as well, I was like, oh wow, we really hated to see him go. But you're going to find out some things about him, and you can ask some questions today on any topic that you would like to. Mr. Waddell has been, I feel, he says he's 95, so to me that's a legacy. He's a long-time citizen here in Sanford, and he has a lot to share. He's done a lot, and so this moment is very, very special. The program, Mr. Waddell, is Sanford, North Carolina, the Black Wall Street connection. And as a little girl, I remembered Wall Street being a bustling, and as a matter of fact, your church is on Wall Street.
It is.
There were churches, doctors' offices, and a lot of and businesses, and today it's not as vibrant as it was, and I'm going to try to research and find out why, but that is what the Black Wall Street is about. We are looking at those persons that gave Sanford a name, because Sanford would not be Sanford if it weren't for some of our black people that have come through Sanford. And so without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and start finding out what you did in Sanford. So, Michael and Samantha, take over.
Mr. Waddell, the first question is to tell us your story about your life.
Okay, that's going to be interesting because it's just a few days ago, I was looking up my father's birthday. I was born in 1928, and he was 41 years old then.
Wow. He was born.
I see the look on it.
Was he born in the
late 1800s?
Yeah.
I am a product of someone who was born in the 18th century. Some of his characteristics, some of the things that he felt important. He was 10 years older than my mother, and she had some just a little bit different ideas about growing up. But there was two things that they both were real strong about. My dad was real strong about work. His comment was, if you don't work, you won't eat. And you are in trouble. So he was a workaholic. He worked as a nurse's aide on second and third shift at the hospital. And he ran a business, and he had people working for him during the day, which this is why I call him a workaholic. Here's a man that's got people working for one, and then he's working at night, that's a full job. So, and my mother was strictly in the education, and she felt like that if you didn't get educated and know something about what was going on, know where you came from, know where you want to go and how you're going to get there, you were in trouble. So between the two of them, they created educated workaholics. That's my phrase. And I tell my sister that I have a sister 2 years younger than me, and she and I both concluded that that's what we turn out to be, workaholics. Educated. She has her master's, and she taught nursing at A&T University, and she recently retired, and she's all over the place now in the city boards and all of that, and in the church having to choose to preach and stuff like that. And she told me not too long ago, she said, I'm getting my license renewed. I said, what in the world you want to do that for? She said, look who's talking. Because at that particular time, I had gone back to help the daycare center. And so the daycare center recently closed in May of last year. So my experience as a child, we created the things that we wanted to do. For instance, we spent a lot of time playing hide and go seek. And our method of hide and go seek was, you had a switch, and if you could catch the person before they got to the base, you popped them with it. There was every once in a while somebody got angry because you hit me too hard. And so that made us a lot of peacemaking in that game. One of the other things that we did as to play was there was I'm not sure where that ring came from, but it was a ring about like that. And we took a coat hanger and straightened out the coat hanger and curl it around, and we would run that right up and down the road, around the house, everything. Another game was we had a merry-go-round, and I don't know really why some of us didn't make it for that merry-go-round, because it was sitting on the hill in my community, and there was a big tree stump. It was about like this, about that tall, but that big around. And it had the board on it. And the board was long enough for you to sit on it. It wasn't sitting on each end. And the idea was, you get in there and get them going. But your challenge was to get out with getting hit, because once you got them going around, you can't stay in there. And I don't know why we didn't lose somebody, but as I think about it now, it was hazardous, but we had fun. I personally had to always get my homework. As I indicated, that my mother made sure that we, my sister and I, got our homework. So when we got to school, we knew what was going on. I was shy, very, very shy. I knew the answers to just about everything the teacher would ask, but I would do one of these now. Please don't call me. Because I didn't want to talk. I got called on enough, and I graduated from high school in a small class. The class I graduated in only had 18. But the class started out with, I think, maybe 30-something. And what happened with the class of 18 was that we were the first 12th grade class at Lee County Training School. We were volunteered. My principal asked the parents who, 11th grade, we were in the 11th grade, and they asked the parents would they let their child come back for the 12th grade. And only 18 of us came back. It was a lively group. It was interesting in that there were just two fellas in the class that attended school regularly. We had one more that was in and out. And we got ready to graduate. I think it was in March. And there again, I had an interesting part to go along with that, because I think I told you that my daddy was a workaholic. So I, in turn, had applied to work part-time at the hospital. So I went in the mornings when I was out when I was in high school. Went in the mornings and helped serve trays to the patients. And went to school, and then in the afternoon, I went back and worked. There was the benefit I got out of that was I had my own monies. So when I turned 16, there was a fellow in the community who wanted to sell his car, and the car was $250.
That's a price.
That was a lot of money. And my mother, I told my mother I wanted to buy the car. So she said, you save $125, and I save $105, we'll buy it. So we bought the car. So I had that car when we were getting ready to graduate, and my friend, my buddy, had gone to school in Clinton in the 10th grade. And the principal called him down to the office one morning and told him they couldn't find a record of him having gone to school in the 10th grade. And he said, I went to school in Clinton. He said, well, we don't have a record. He said, well, do you want me to go get the record? And he said, yes. So my buddy said, do you want me to go now? And he said, yes, I want you to go now. So he said, well, can Beady go with me? He said, I don't care who goes with you. So in the meantime, he came back to the classroom, and the teacher was out. And he told me that Mr. Wicker said that I could take him to Clinton. So I just left the class with him. We got in my car, went to Clinton. Well, the part that I wouldn't tell you that was interesting is our teacher for that class was a strong, very strong person. And we were due to practice that morning, and I said I only had two boys, and both of us was in the play. And she walked in the classroom, and both of us are gone. So she asked the class, where is William and where is Beady? They said William had to go to Clinton to get his record. They said, well, where's Beady? Where he carried him down there, and he's going to preach the bachelor sermon while he's down. That made her mad. So she goes to the principal's office, and she said, well, you know, why you let these boys go? He said, I sent William. He said, I haven't seen Beady. So she came back, and the next morning, she tells me to go to the office. And I said, okay. I went to the office, and Mr. Wicker said, you go home for leaving the campus without permission. I said, it's time for me to graduate. I'll let you know whether you're going to graduate or not. I said, well, you know, I only went because you said I could go. He said, I hadn't seen you. So I said, well, Mr. Wicker, he said, yes. You know, you asked my dad if I could come back for the 12th grade. He said, yes. If I don't graduate, my father is coming. He's coming to see you. I said, if I go home now, he's going to bring me back. So my dad is loud, and he did not want my dad in the office, in the building, with his loud self. So he said, you go to class. So that's an incident about my school. That kind of tells you about what we did as playing. We had to make our own means of playing. I had my own way of doing things. As I told you, I had my job, and I went to the clothing store at 16 and made an account for me to have the clothes I wanted to wear to school. So I dressed pretty good. At that particular time, they did not have the credit bureau and the credit score and stuff like that. That was a long time ago. They went according to what your parents' record was. And so my dad had a good record, so he said, if your dad signs for you, then you can set the account. So as a teenager, I was what you call, and my buddies and I decided that I was a nerd with a car. I listened, my parents, as I indicated, they were both very strong-willed. And they talked about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So my parents said, don't smoke, it's not good for you. And my buddies would say, this, you know, this sneak and get us to smoke. I said, no. My parents said, you know, don't drink, it's not good for you. And some of my buddies sneak around, buy something to drink, and I wouldn't. But I was the one with the cars. So we were all still buddies, but I was the one in the crowd that didn't do any of those things. And we concluded in my 90 years plus that I was a nerd with the car. Because I had plenty of buddies because I was the one that had the car, but I never smoked. Not in my life. Never drink. And the only reason I did was because my parents said don't do it. So I had to be a nerd, but I was smart in school. Played in the band in school. We had a band, and I sang in it was called the Glee Club. I sang in the Glee Club. So that's my growing up. You have questions in between that I might have left out.
Who were your role models?
But
Who were your role models?
my career role model was in education was my principal. He was strict, but he was fair. So I concluded that maybe one day I'd like to be a principal. The other thing about my principal was that you know how the school is set up, and those steps out on the front. Well, you know, there's a lot of area between the steps and the street. And if any of the people that were walking and were trying to take a shortcut across, they walked across the school property. All he had to do was walk out on the steps and say, "Oh, you know you're on school property." And they would say, "Yes, Mr. Wicker." And they would get off the property. He would have laughed if somebody had asked him that, "Do you need a resource officer?" He was the resource. His resource was a strap inside his office. And I got acquainted with that. Me and my buddy, we were supposed to go out on the playground playing with everybody else, so we decided there was a place away from the schoolyard that had a big water hole. So we decided we wanted to go over there and throw rocks in the water hole. So we stayed past the time. When we came back on campus, there was nobody on campus but Mr. Wicker. So we got acquainted with that.
Do you have any concerns about our city?
I have a real concern. My concern has to do with the violence and the type of way that people have chosen to settle their differences. Kids have always grown up with disagreed. Me and my buddies, we would disagree. But the worst thing that we would do is throw a rock at somebody and run. Now they're shooting somebody. So yes, I have a concern about the violence.
What will make Sanford greater?
What would make Sanford great?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that your question?
Well, greater.
I'm into politics right now. I'm into politics virtually. I keep up with what's going on with the politicians. And I like what Bernie said about community college. I think it would be great if kids could go, where young folk could go to the community college free.
Yeah.
I talk with a lot of people, and I find that they have a big debt from college.
There's actually a program now called the Early College, and they're able to do that, to go to community college and get a degree for free. Only if they want it, though. So it's not
Don't you
necessarily.
have like a way to get accepted to like all NC colleges except for Duke?
Your credits will transfer. It's not necessarily a guaranteed admission. Or your credits will transfer. So you do have to go through an application process to be able to do that. But there is now an opportunity for you to get an associate's degree for free. I'm in that program. So, yeah.
That's great. It would be good if it was more widely known
Yeah.
and it was more open from everybody. I think that if you knew that when you left high school, you were going to college, that there is, in my family, I got a big family, real big family. And one of my granddaughters said that her husband said, all your family talk about going to college and education. And he said, in my family, we don't even talk about graduating. So I think it would be great if it was just kind of understood that when you're not through when you finish high school. So, and I think one of the things that's happening also that would make Sanford greater, and part of that is happening now, is that we could recruit more of the high-tech companies. I saw on TV yesterday that there was one coming to Sanford, and the average salary is gonna be 80,000. That will be real attractive. Thank you.
Do you want this?
Would you like to? So now we're gonna so Wall Street, what do you remember? What was its demise from times gone by?
Okay. Wall Street, when I was growing up, had a variety of activities. You had Wall Street like that, and you had right here was Steel Street. And on Wall Street, there was a corner that had a variety of businesses. Right there, next to the railroad track, we had the barber shop. We had a business that the fella worked with chairs and couches. On the other, right down a little bit further was a drugstore. Bland's drugstore. And the drugstore also, in addition to dispersing medicine, they had a place where you could go in and sit down and eat ice cream, etc. Right on the corner over here was it was part Wall Street and part Horner Boulevard, was a service station. There was a tire place there now, but it was black owned, Swine and Prince. Back here a little bit further was a theater, a small theater that faced Horner Boulevard, but it was part of Wall Street. Up here on this part of Wall Street, there was Wall Street Baptist Church, which was very nice. There was Fair Promise, very nice. We come back down on this way, and we had what was a pool room. And then also on Wall Street, there was a couple of, well, it was about 3 or 4 nice houses. One was a construction worker's house, and you see his picture on that as you go up on the boulevard.
Oh, that one building where it has WB Wicker on it.
They buy.
That one building where it has like the paintings of with the baseball players and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
I know that.
Over there by like Sandra's and the barbershop.
Yes.
And the car wash.
Is the pool room you talking about, did it once be, do you know somebody named John Robertson?
Mm-hmm.
That's my grandpa.
How about that? Nice fellow. So Wall Street, it had several very nice houses, and it had those 3 churches back on this as you saw corner. Back on the right was Blandonia. And down a little bit further was another nice house, the Blands. Across the street was McLean's and C.Q. Hayward. They were both of those were nice two-story houses. It was just kind of a bustling area that kind of represented progress and ingenuity of blacks at that particular time. And we find periodically, some of us get together now, we talk about what in the world happened. Up there on the corner, we still have a funeral home, but it kind of lets us know the funeral home is busy, and the folk are nice, but it let us know that Wall Street died. Because it's the main thing on that corner of well, Fair Promise is still there. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, right beside Fair Promise is a building that's been under construction ages. The principal of the school years ago had that building for teachers. Now it's just a building sitting there empty. So it kind of lets us know that something happened. And unfortunately, we don't see a lot of work toward reviving that area.
What do you think we can do to get the area back to where it was? I think culturally and economically.
Well, one thing that is good and it's not so good is that the young folk from those parents, a lot of them went off to college, but they didn't come back to Sanford. Hey, listen, they didn't come back to Sanford. I have 6 kids that have done well, but only one stayed in Sanford, and I think she stays here to look after me. So and you can't blame them for going where the grass looks greener. Do you hear that phrase about greener on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
That and the thing about it is, it has been greener for most of them that didn't come back. That's my feelings about it. And to make it greater, I think those of us, the older ones of us that have stayed, we need to do something that's attractive. We need to do something that's attractive to make the young folks that go off to college want to come back home and do something, find something here to do. And those that don't go to college, because there are some that do very well, that have not finished college, and maybe they went, maybe paid good attention in high school, have done well. Businesses, and if it continues growing, Sanford growing like it is, I think it has possibilities. I talked with the mayor that was just recently elected, and she said that the city is growing fast, and it's hard keep up with housing, good affordable housing for the people that are coming back and coming in the South. Because we're kind of a spillover from the Raleigh-Durham area. They're looking for they work there, and if we can provide good housing, they won't be too much of a drive. And then we get it also from the Fort Bragg area.
Do you have like an idea of like new businesses that could help, or how businesses that we already have like locally can improve?
Repeat that.
Do you have an idea of like new businesses or like businesses that are like local that can improve?
New businesses. I think two new businesses that are coming is going to make a big difference. You know, in this area, it's supposed to have somebody that comes that associated with the automobile industry, and those that work in the automobile industry, they do well. And then you find those that are working with the medicines, the other chemicals and things like that, they do well. So I think we have some that might be coming, and hopefully we can attract others.
You have a question to ask?
I'm just gonna do it.
What have I done? Well, as I backed up, I backed up and indicated that I left teaching and went into social work. While being in social work, I got nominated to go on the Board of Education. And I was on the Building and Grounds Committee with our Board of Education. And we are responsible for J.R. Ingram, Jake and Edwards, and Greenwood, who built those schools.
You?
Yes. So if you're looking out in the lobby of those three schools, you'll see my name.
Yeah, I went to Jared Ingram.
My brother goes to Jared Ingram right now.
I went to Jared Ingram too.
J.R. Ingram, Jake and Edwards,
It
and
was really
Greenwood.
good school.
My friend,
They're
she
legends.
went to Jake Lambert.
I went to BT Bullock, Carol Lake.
Word at BT Bullock. Oh my God.
I went to BT Bullock for 3 years.
Yeah, I went to Jared
Only
Ingram.
for a year and a half. Ooh.
I went to Jared Ingram my kindergarten, first, second, and third grade year, and then my fourth and fifth grade year I moved to Deep River, and now I'm in East Middle School.
You're in D River. Okay.
Let's see. These are gonna be some entrepreneur questions. What is the name of your business?
What is what?
The name of your business?
Name of my business. I did the business for the church. Our pastor and his wife did one of the first child care centers in Sanford.
What was the child care?
With a
What was the child care center called?
Blandonia.
Oh, really?
Blandonia.
I went to
We
Blandonia.
went to Blandonia.
Yeah.
I ain't go, but I know where it's at.
Yeah, I think now it's called Estelle's. I think
Yeah.
spot.
It's still.
But yeah, when I
We went to Blandonia.
yeah, because when I was in grad, I went to Blandonia. I'm sorry, it was just stories about Blandonia that came to mind. It was really nice.
It has an interesting history.
Yeah, so much.
So
my business was that it started in the church. And they asked, they had some difficulties with Internal Revenue, and they asked if my wife and me, who had already retired, my wife had managed the rest of it. She had retired, and I had retired from social work. And they asked us if we would work with the daycare. So we took the daycare that was in the church, and it grew to the point where there was a store beside Blandonia. It was called Fleming's.
You said Clemens?
Fleming's supermarket. It had caught on fire and had kind of burned out inside. And it was one of those that were owned by one family. And they didn't want to rebuild, so one of our church members bought it. You want this one?
Oh, no, I'm good, I'm fine. I just want.
One of the church members bought it and gave it to the church. So we had this burned out store called Fleming's, and Fleming's was part of an old history, I know a lot of people that talked about the hot dogs they got from Fleming's. You ate some of Fleming's?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Question.
yes.
The Fleming store, do you know if that was like, is the building still up to date? Like,
Is what?
the Fleming store, like the supermarket, is the building like up to date? Like, did they ever rebuild it?
No, but I tore it down.
Oh, okay.
So you tore it?
I was responsible for tearing it down. What happened is the daycare grew where it was no longer had space enough for in the church. So I asked the church about moving out of the church and building our own self-standing daycare. And they said, okay, go for it. So I was responsible for getting the finance to turn out Fleming and to build the daycare center that's there now. My wife and I, and we stayed with it till it was paid for. The center grew to the point where the church owned the house across the street, and we had before and after school program in that house. And then we got another building down that faces Wall Street. And we occupied that building. So my wife and I retired back in 2013. And it was, at that particular time, it was the largest center, private-owned center in Lee County. I think the only one, maybe larger, was Warren Williams, because we occupied two full buildings. And it was a thriving business, and we had a reputation for, when we were directors, that our kids did well. Our kids did real well. We did 2 plays a year, and it was well attended. And our kids, not only were they ready for kindergarten and everything, they didn't mind standing up in front of a bunch of folk talking, because our 2-year-olds, while I was having two plays a year, the 2-year-olds with everybody in the center had something to say. So the 2-year-olds might say, you know, my name is Mary, my brother's name is John. my dad's name is Harry, the same so and so. But they stood in front of 150 to 100 people and said that. And was not afraid to do that. So they had that part of our program. The other part of our program was that before I retired was that I talked to the kindergarten, I talked to the principal over at Tremblay, and I asked her if she would ask her kindergarten teacher what would she like for the children to know when they came to kindergarten, and would she put it in writing. So my 4-year-old teacher had something to go by, and they made sure that when the children left our 7, they were prepared for kindergarten. I didn't stop there. I got the teacher for 4-year-olds to tell the 3-year-old teacher that this is what I want the kids to know when they get to me. And the 3-year-old teacher told the 2-year-old teacher, this is what I want my kids to know when they come to me. So it was a process, and that was what we left with the 7. Things kind of deteriorated when we left. I'm not sure as to where you can put your finger on that, but several areas, they changed, and it deteriorated. And I went back and kind of tried to help pump a little adrenaline into them, and it was really disappointing.
A great business. I remember it well. And you and your wife did an excellent job for the city of Sanford. You have been interviewed today by the Boys and Girls Club of North Carolina. And you all did a splendid job, and we thank you so much. Mr. Waddell, I'm sure they have more questions for you. Maybe we can have you back at another time as well.
Okay.
You'll come back to see us?
I will come back. I just share with you, I was sharing with someone that I was real fortunate. When I told you I was shy, when I went to college, I was walking down the walk, and this top sophomore girl walked up to me and said, "Why are you so selfish?" I said, "Selfish?" She said, "You don't say anything to anybody or something." I said, "I'm not scared. I'm selfish. I'm scared." She said, "Smile. If you smile, if you look like you got a nice smile, you'll be surprised." I start smiling and I start talking. And my wife said to me, she said, "Do you ever smile?" I said, "Not really." Most of my vocations had to do with talking. I taught when I went to taught school. I was a probation officer, and I taught to. That's another story that if you guys might want to hear another day.
Yes.
I was a juvenile probation officer. I carried people to training school.
I missed that in your career.
Yes, I was a probation officer, and I was a court counselor. I did home studies for the judges to help them make decisions that involved children.
Wow.
And so there's a story that goes with that, and I don't know whether you got time or not.
No, I think the kids, you need to go to another group now.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you go, and we're going to have Mr. Waddell to come back at another time.
Yes, we would love to have you again.
Yeah, this is really
Thank you
nice.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
I've enjoyed talking with you. you're a very good audience.
Thank you.
Very good audience, and as I said, all my vocations have been talking, you know, teaching, and I was a supervisor at social services. That had to do with talking. I was in the court system, and that had to do with talking.
Now, can they be on video or no? They have to have
No,
permission.
they have to have permission.
Okay, good. Okay, I thought so. So I thought that was you couldn't do that. So hopefully we'll schedule you again.
Okay.
Because you got plenty to tell us.
And I said, I like to talk.
Yes. You're
Thank
really
you
good
so
at it
much.
too.
Okay.